Hey guys, it's B, and I figured we would do another Tea with B episode to spill the tea, but we won't be actually drinking tea because I stopped drinking caffeine because I have been dealing with crippling anxiety lately. Fun, but I figured I would fill you guys in on what has been happening as well as give you some of the tips and tricks that I have been utilizing a lot lately, or the things that I'm also going to be trying because I haven't started all of them, but I've been researching a lot that help me with my newfound debilitating panic issues that have been happening recently. Now, for the update, and if you're not interested in what's going on with me personally, you can click the timestamp I'm going to leave on the screen right here to just go to the tips and tricks. So I have been living with my mom for the past 2 weeks now, and it has been rough. My panic episodes have gotten increasingly worse. I went from being social, being independent, all of this stuff, to being really dependent on my mom, which has been really disheartening because what the hell is actually going on? The best way that I can describe what is happening to me is when I get in these states of panic, my logical brain just goes offline and I'm purely limbic system, emotion focused, and the thoughts spiral, and all it is like increasingly worse and worse what if statements. It's just like my brain thinking of the worst possible scenario that could absolutely happen and just sitting there and compounding that into just a ball of terror. I'm being terrorized by my own brain. I just kept feeling my world get smaller and smaller, and it was like really, I think the point where it was like really disheartening was at my mom's house. I'd like push myself to like do things. I would go on walks by myself because I was trying to still force myself out of my comfort zone to find some sense of independence. So I'd go on these walks. And me and Deg were about a block away from home, and I started having the feeling of, oh God, you're not near home. And then the panic thoughts just kept spiraling and spiraling, and I called my mom, and she drove and came pick me and Deg up. And then I haven't went on a walk by myself since. There were days when I was white-knuckling it through the entirety of my waking hours. Like, I was sitting there watching TV, just like every muscle in my body clenched, just anxious, just trying not to panic. I had no sense of internal peace, like there was no resting. It was just exhausting. And I was starting to get really depressed because it felt hopeless, and it was like simply existing was horrible. It was horrible just like waking up. And then I tried an anxiety med that just kind of made me very irritable. The sound of like my dog panting or like someone walking, even if it wasn't super loud, everything was amplified and I was irritable, and I felt like I wanted to crawl out of my skin. It was not a fun time these past couple weeks. But all that sounds bad, and if you're like looking at me right now and you think, oh, she looks relatively okay now, I'm still struggling with it, but I have found things that have been exponentially helpful in at least like getting me through the day. Like, I don't feel completely out of control of my life anymore. I'm still struggling with things. I'm still trying to take back my independence and stuff, and I have a lot of things to work through. I'm trying to be patient in that process, which is not always easy, but I'm going to share the things that have helped me tremendously right now. The first thing that has actively helped me is research, and that can be a double-edged sword because you could get on the weird parts of the internet that just scare the shit out of you, you know, when you start going down that research rabbit hole. So you got to be a little bit careful and just research things that are adjacent to what you are dealing with, you know, like therapies, treatments, things that are helpful. I found that actual physical books helped because it's like, okay, there's the subject and it only talks about this subject, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't sprout out into all of these crazy things really quickly, if that makes any sense. The book that I read that was pivotal in getting me out of that depressive state and giving me hope was this one right here. The Body Keeps the Score. It's about the brain, mind, and body and the healing of trauma. It just gave so much insight in the feelings that I have been personally feeling, like explaining the science behind it. Like, I realized like it's just my limbic system going into overdrive and I'm not going crazy. It's just something that happens to certain people when they deal with a traumatic event or go through a great deal of stress. I just identified with a lot that's in this book, and it just explained it so perfectly that it was like a saving grace. I just can't tell you how much this book has helped me. So I got a lot from it, and I also took a lot from it. And some of the other tips are directly from that book that I have been implementing and have been working. The next thing that helped was being an active participant in my healing. Like I said, been going to a lot of doctors, been running a lot of tests, been trying to figure out what's wrong with me and putting it into the hands of other people, which is fine, all really helpful. But if you really look at it, when you're anxious, you don't feel like you have control, you feel helpless. So when you're actively looking for a solution to the problem, imagining ways that can be helpful, all of that stuff, what you're really doing is taking agency back of your life. And then you start to get to a place where, first of all, you have hope again. Second of all, you know your feelings and you are the person who has the most interest in your healing. So I personally just got a lot from just like researching and implementing the things and trying things out and finding them for myself, because it's me taking back control of me. The next thing that helped me tremendously was getting my meds in check. Like I told you guys, I tried one that made me feel completely wrong. From that book, The Body Keeps the Score, they recommended SSRIs. So I asked my doctor about it, tried one. It has been helping me tremendously. Just take the edge off in order to not be a complete panic spiral and actually start implementing some of this other stuff so it has a chance to work. Does that make sense? I'm not suggesting it's right for everyone. I just want to make sure that you know that like I'm not against meds or anything like that. They're helpful for a lot of people. If you need them, take them with the supervision of a medical professional. Routine has been increasingly helpful in this whole healing journey. If you create structure and know the things that you're going to do, like as soon as you wake up, it just creates like a bit of a safe space for you. I definitely have been that person that has just been like, routine is boring. I don't want to be doing the same things every day. I like the chaos, but it has just been really important for me to like wake up, know what I'm doing, to get my day going so I don't get stuck in a thought spiral. Eating healthy and exercise. I know it's like the obvious thing and everybody kind of rolls their eyes when you list that as a tip and a trick, but it has helped me so much to kind of get my diet in check and start focusing on eating healthy, nutritious foods, as well as getting some exercise in that just kind of releases some anxiety and some tension. I've also been doing a lot of research on neuroplasticity because I was like, okay, we need to find new pathways for my brain to carve to get around the immediate anxiety response that it tends to favor. So I've been looking into ways to increase neuroplasticity, and it turns out like learning something new can help a lot and also offer distraction from your anxiety. Also movement in combination with thinking. So things like dancing would be beneficial. I've been walking on the treadmill and listening to podcasts. Learning a new skill or learning a complicated subject. I've also been playing brain games on this app called Impulse. It's just like quick, like 10 minutes a day. Sometimes it's like little mental math exercises. Sometimes it's like recognizing patterns and like what comes next in the sequence. And it's just something that I like to pick up, especially instead of like scrolling on Instagram or social media, just to kind of distract myself and like get me focusing on something else. And believe me, trying to do mental math does make me focus because it is hard for me to math in my head. They say that stuff like learning a new language really helps when it comes to neuroplasticity and forming like new pathways in your brain and getting you to think differently, which I'm really interested in that. But right now my focus was of course like on reading and like trying to understand everything about what's going on with me currently in order to help myself. I'm going to lump these next 4 in together because they all kind of coincide and I'm going to be talking about them like all together. But mindfulness, meditation, yoga, and journaling. So mindfulness kind of goes into all of the rest of the 3 things, and it's very important for anxiety. So when you learn to redirect your focus from your thoughts onto your body and how you're feeling in that moment is huge, and it helps you kind of de-escalate the situation a lot easier and be present in that moment because anxiety is somewhere either in the future or the past, and it just helps you like be here. It helps when I start getting anxious to like, as soon as I realize, I start going, okay, I'm having a feeling right now. Let's describe that feeling in as much detail as possible. Where am I feeling it? What does it feel like? How is my body responding? All of this stuff. And it helps sometimes to like physically write it down. And that's where like the journaling comes in. Just to like get that feeling out of like your internal and have it somewhere external helps you process it a bit better. For me, when I like write stuff down on a page, no filter, just writing all the thoughts that are in my head that I'm thinking that are escalating, it helps me kind of like put into perspective, and then I kind of get my rational brain back online, or the part of my brain that wants to challenge that. A thought that I have a lot is, it's always going to be this way. This is going to be the rest of my life. Like feeling stuck in that. There's a part of my brain that comes online and is like, no, it's not. For meditation, I downloaded the app Headspace, and I absolutely love like the little animations that they give you when they give you like the breathing exercises. Guided meditation is a lot easier than just like trying to do it yourself, because meditation is hard. It is really hard to stop yourself from thinking and just focusing on your breath and your body and what you're feeling in that moment, which is what meditation is. It's just like the practice of bringing you back to the present moment and only focusing on that moment. So every time you do it, you flex that muscle and you just kind of make it easier for yourself. And I try to do it when I'm full-blown going into panic, but I also do it every single morning as part of my routine, because it's easiest to do it when you are not already in that cycle. Like, it's kind of hard, especially when you're new, like starting out to it, to not focus on thoughts. Another thing I use on Headspace is they have these 45-minute like nighttime stories that are just super descriptive, and they're just describing like this calm scene, or like one of them was about a laundromat, and it was describing all the people that were inside. It's just something that's been helping me like go to sleep, because nighttime is one of the worst times for my anxiety. It helps to kind of be listening to that, and it's just something that you can kind of picture or like ignore, or just like listen to the ambient noises, and it's just something going on other than your own internal chatter. Yoga. I don't think that I have been doing yoga right my entire life. I realize like in the classes that I've taken that the teacher's always like, notice how you feel in this position. Like, it's about focusing on breath. And the yoga teacher is always like, it's your own practice. Like, get what you want out of it. And like all of this stuff that I ignore when I'm in the class, right? Or like when I'm doing it, I'm just trying to look as much like the instructor as possible. Sometimes like holding my breath to try to like force my leg into a position or something. But I've started just doing like a quick like 10-15 minute routine just in my room, like before I get ready for the day, and really like focusing on how my body's feeling, focusing on breath and stuff like that. And it has been very beneficial, because again, it goes back to like the whole mindfulness thing of like being in the present, focusing on what your body's feeling in that moment, connecting the mind and the body. And I'd eventually like to start going to a physical class where I can see the instructor and like you can feel the vibes of like the other people in the class. I don't know if that sounds too hippy dippy. Like, I feel like I get more from like being there physically in the class than I do from like watching yoga videos. But right now, being a little bit of a shut-in, this is what I can handle right now, is like just doing a quick like little morning routine. Maybe we can start going to a class later on. The next thing on my list that I want to talk about that I actually haven't tried yet for myself, but will be in the next couple of days, is EMDR. If you're not familiar with what that is, I've been researching about it a lot lately. It's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy that helps people process events in their life that they felt like they had no control over, and kind of like reframe it in a way that like offers a solution. And I've been reading that it helps people heal from emotional distress. So I'm very interested in that. I will tell you guys all about it. I'll probably like vlog that day. I know that this book really makes a case for EMDR, and it is like, this is great for people with PTSD. So I am just really curious to start it, and I'm really hopeful. Also, you know, of course, like sleep helps in general. If you're not sleeping, it's kind of like really bad for your mental health. So I've been trying to get like my 8 hours in. I now do not sacrifice my sleep for anything. So that's it. That's what I got. Like, I'm no longer white knuckling it through the day. And I feel like I'm getting to a place where I am healing and I'm starting to like branch out again. Like how I was telling you, I was forcing myself to go a little bit out of my comfort zone in order to gain back my independence. I'm starting to do that again. So love that for me. And I'm just going to keep prioritizing myself and getting better. And hopefully I'll come out on the other side of this even better than before the whole panic started. I don't know, I just feel like things happen to change your trajectory, and this was like a major, really unforeseen thing that has been dropped into my life that is unavoidable. I can't focus on anything else, and it has just completely changed my trajectory and how beneficial it could have been if I had started meditating or doing yoga or being mindful of my body a lot sooner. So sorry if this is a long video and a little bit long-winded, but I just kind of wanted, if there are people out there that are going through the same thing, if you haven't found the things that I've tried and you want to try stuff, that's what I've been doing. It's been really helpful, and I want to thank you so much for like all of your messages, all of you guys being supportive and being understanding. I just feel extremely lucky to have such a strong support system, like not only my family and friends, but like this whole community of people that just care about me. So thank you for that, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!